Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Alda Anindya, and I'm an intern at the ASEAN Foundation. Once again, I'm more than honored to be the master of ceremony for the online safety webinar today. The COVID-19 pandemic has impacted all aspects of our lives. With lockdown being imposed, it is only natural that many young people in ASEAN have spending much more time online than ever before. The internet helps young people to explore their interests, learn, and create. However, it can also leave them vulnerable to online risks, such as cyberbullying, misinformation, privacy breach, and online sexual exploitation. To make sure people in ASEAN have the knowledge and the tools to make smart and responsible decisions online, Google, together with the ASEAN Foundation, have been holding a monthly talk series on the topic of online safety, starting from November 2020 to February 2021. This initiative was designed to help make sure youth online experiences are safe and positive during COVID-19. This series were officially launched on November 2020 with the first episode titled Digital Footprint and Cyberbullying. To continue its success, the ASEAN Foundation and Google are proud to deliver the third webinar, themed Privacy and Security, Secure Your Secrets. As indicated in the name, today's webinar focuses on discussing the issue of privacy breach and how you can protect your privacy and others from cyber criminals. Before we begin, to ensure everyone has a good experience, there are a few housekeeping matters that I would like to share with all of you. First of all, this event will be recorded and live streamed on the ASEAN Foundation Facebook page. Secondly, to the attendees, we encourage you to ask questions to our panelists. Please write them in the comment box below. Last but not least, as this webinar is chat-based, your microphone is automatically muted. That is all. Thank you for your attention and cooperation. Now, without further ado, to kick us off, we are pleased to have Mr. Michael Rose, Head of Data Governance, Government Affairs, and Public Policy, Google APAC, to deliver the first opening remark. Please, Mr. Rose, time is yours.
Hello, thank you for joining today. I look forward to seeing you all in person at a future event. But for now, I wanted to take a minute to talk about privacy and safety, particularly Google's practices online for our users. Our approach to security is fairly simple. We secure products you use every day with automated built-in protections, so you can use them without having to worry about the security of your data. For example, let's start with Gmail. Many malware and phishing attacks start with an email, and Gmail protects you from spam, phishing, or malware better than any other service. Using machine learning, artificial intelligence, Gmail analyzes patterns in billions of messages, identifying characteristics of emails for users marked as spam to block 99.9% of suspicious or dangerous emails before they ever reach you. In Chrome, we have automatic updates to protect you from malware and deceptive sites. We're proud to be recognized as a leader in browser security. Our philosophy is that you shouldn't have to be a security expert to feel safe on the web. So Chrome is secure by default and automatically updates every 6 weeks, so users have the latest security features. But for important security bugs, we push out a fix within 24 hours, no effort from the user required. With Chrome, we continue to innovate and share ideas with the larger web community, partners, and developers, even our competitors, because the internet-wide safety demands industry-wide collaboration. For safe browsing, anti-malware and anti-phishing capabilities of Gmail and Chrome are powered by our safe browsing technologies. We help keep people safe even when they aren't using Chrome. And we also made safe browsing available for all other browsers to use. So every day, more than 4 billion devices around the world are protected by Google's safe browsing. Play Protect. I love Play Protect. Another way we keep our users safe is through Google Play Protect. And Android, if you have an Android device, Play Protect continuously works behind the scenes to keep your device, data, and apps secure. Every day, we automatically scan all the apps on Android phones and work to prevent harmful apps from ever reaching them, making Google Play Protect the most widely deployed mobile threat protection service in the world. To give you a sense of the scale, Google Play Protect protects 2 billion plus devices around the world and verifies over 50 billion apps per day. So while we automatically protect your privacy with industry-leading security, there are a few additional steps users can take to be safer online themselves. And one easy way is to start with your Google account by taking the security checkup. It's a step-by-step tool that gives you a personalized and actionable security recommendations, helps strengthen security of your Google account. Millions of users visit it every day, and more than 20% resolve issues we bring to their attention. For extra protection online, we advise adding two-step verification to accounts. Fairly simple, but very effective. This provides another layer of security, requiring a second step to gain access to your account. For example, something you know, a password, and something you physically have on hand, like your phone getting a security key. We also have Password Manager. So creating a unique and strong password for every account is one of the most critical steps, also one of the most undervalued steps in protecting your privacy. Using the same password to log into multiple accounts like your Google account, your social media profiles, retail websites, it increases your security risk because each node is a potential threat. So we built in password managers, a tool that helps users store their login details securely. And when Password Manager is directly built into Chrome and into your Google account, you can manage your passwords wherever you are, on Chrome, Android, or in any other web browser. And with Google's Password Manager, you can easily create, save, and manage passwords for all of your online accounts, which keeps you more secure online. You can also check the strength of your password. You can analyze using our tools to see if your password has been publicly exposed in a data breach. So you can easily change it across websites if needed. We have a database of over 4 billion username and password combinations. And if a saved password is affected, we let you know. We've learned that roughly 1% of all submitted passwords are part of data breaches, and more than 100 million people have used this feature, Password Checkup, to create a 30% reduction in breached credentials. And lastly, and especially important to note, for those who are at more high risk of targeted online attacks, people in the public sphere, government employees, journalists, etc. There's advanced protection program safeguards for personal Gmail accounts of anyone at risk of targeted attacks, journalists, activists, business leaders, politicians. And this is a program that we add for extra accountability and protections for more vulnerable users. Thank you very much. I'm happy to take questions and respond via email, and look forward to seeing you all soon.
Thank you, Mr. Rose, for your wonderful message. Next up, may I have the honor to invite Ambassador Tran Du Binh, Permanent Representative of Socialist Republic of Vietnam to ASEAN, and the Chairman of the ASEAN Foundation Board of Trustees for the year 2021, to give us the opening remark. Please, Ambassador Binh, time is yours.
Good afternoon, distinguished panelists, participants, ladies and gentlemen. A very good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to the third episode of the online safety webinar series for youth on the topic of online privacy and how secure your data is. This is a special series held in collaboration with Google. My name is Tran Du Binh. I am the Ambassador, Permanent Representative of Vietnam to ASEAN, Chairman of the Board of Trustees of the ASEAN Foundation for the year 2021. These days, with just a smartphone and an internet, you can do almost everything instantly. You can connect with people around the world, listen to music, watch movies, shop, order food, attend a classroom, and do many other things. Yet, as we enjoy the benefits of the internet, we sometimes forget that we share unprotected personal and sometimes sensitive information online, making ourselves susceptible to become the target of cyber criminals and scammers. In order to raise awareness of this issue, the ASEAN Foundation, in collaboration with Google, launched the online safety webinar series for youth in November 2019 to equip our youth with the necessary skills to stay safe and use the internet wisely. On today's webinar, we will learn more about internet privacy and how to secure our devices and keep our personal information safe from the harm of being misused. We are now relying on the internet more than ever, and we should all take the time to learn how to prevent data breaches. I hope that everything that you will learn today from our resourceful speakers will provide you with the necessary knowledge to help you protect yourselves from the perils of the online world, and in turn share with your fellow youth on how to stay safe online. Finally, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our wonderful partner, Google, for making this webinar series a reality. I also wish to extend my special appreciation to all our panelists for giving us their valuable time today. To all participants, I wish you all a very fruitful webinar session, and I hope that all together we can make a safer place on the internet. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Ping, for your inspiring remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a group's picture of today's event. I would like to ask everyone permission to turn on the camera. My lovely colleague, Miss Ayu, will lead the session. I hand this over to Miss Ayu.
Thank you, Alda. Good afternoon, everyone. We are now going to take a group photo. Please turn on your camera and get ready. And on the count of 3, I will take the photo. Okay, I'm just going to give a bit more time for everyone to get ready. Okay, we have so many people here. It's really nice to see. Okay, so on the count of 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, just one more round. Okay, 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, everyone. Back to you, Alda.
Thank you, Miss Ayu. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we officially begin the webinar. In the next 40 minutes, our panelists will give their presentation on the topic of privacy and security, secure your secrets. This session will be moderated by Miss Bea. Miss Bea is one of the communication interns at the ASEAN Foundation. Miss Bea, I would like to invite you to the screen.
Thank you, Alda. Good afternoon. My name is Bea Campilan, and I would like to thank you all for the opportunity given to me to act as your moderator for today's event. We will now begin the presentation session pertaining to the theme of privacy and security. Secure your secrets. Allow me to introduce our speakers, Mr. Lucian Teo, the Online Safety Education Lead at Google APAC, and Ms. Ellen Kasuma, the Head of Digital At-Risk Subdivision at SafeNet. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our first speaker, Lucian Teo, the Online Safety Education Lead at Google APAC.
Hi, thank you so much. It's very glad to be here with you. I just want to check, how much time do I have? Because I have a lot of material to cover, but I need to make sure.
I believe you have 10 minutes for your presentation.
Oh dear. Okay, then we'll do this fast. Just give me a second. So can you see the screen behind me? If you can't, you just pin my picture and then I'll be in the main screen. So today we'll cover some privacy and security tips, and as well as we'll go through a little bit of what privacy means for you. So how many of you have wanted to be a YouTuber, professional gamer, stuff that my son wants to be? How many of you? You can type in the chat, or you can raise your hand, or you can turn on your camera and just put up your hand. I heard it's like the #1 career goal for many young people these days, right? That's what my son tells me. So what I wanted to show you here, this is not my kids, by the way. My kids are a lot older. They're closer to your age than this. But many years ago, so I was one of the first few bloggers in the world before the word blog became a thing. So I ran a blog and I wrote about my life, right? And I shared about it, and it got a healthy following. I think a few thousand people read it every day. So I was one of the early social media influencers, but before social media was a big thing. It was just me writing to my girlfriend at the time, and people seemed to take an interest as to what we chatted about. Right. So many years later, we got married, we had children. I continued writing. And you know, like every parent, right? You're so proud that you have a child and you write about, oh, no, how great it is to carry your child for the first time. You put up photos and everything. And then one day, I think my eldest child was about 2 years old, near 2 years old, when she started walking. And we were just writing like, oh, no, it's so great to see them walk. And then it occurred to me that I wasn't writing just about my life anymore. I was writing about somebody else's life. And it became different. You know, I think for you guys it's different because your parents write about you. My parents never had the chance to write about me because when I was growing up, there was no internet at all. We barely had computers. Right? So as a parent writing about my child, it dawned on me that I was writing about another person's life. It's just not just mine. It is my experience as a parent, but I'm also writing about my daughter's life and her first steps. And then I started thinking, right? And I thought that as my child grows up, right? Imagine if one day she finds a boy who likes her, they go out and then she wants to tell the boy about her life, but the boy goes like, oh, I know everything because your father wrote everything down when you were young. I know when you had your first steps. I know your first words. I know everything about you because somebody else wrote it for you. And then that became a little bit scary for me. And I realized that my child had a right to her own privacy, her own life, her own story. And I wanted her to be able to tell her story to the friends around her as she grows up. You know, so the lesson for me back then was your data belongs to you, right? The stuff about your life, who you are, where you go, all these things, the data belongs to you. And you have full right to what you do with it. And so like my children, in the end, what I did was I stopped blogging altogether. Right? I stopped writing about because most of my life is going to be taking care of my kids, right? When you become a parent, there's very little fun things that you do. It's mostly you go to work, you come home, you take care of your children. The joy you have is always seeing your children grow. But I wanted to reserve that story for them to tell because it's also their life story. So when we think about this, I want you to remember the data that you have all about yourself, it belongs to you. But that said, as we come online a lot, we realize that a lot of apps ask for our data, and we need to know why, right? It is not just that they want our data for fun. A lot of the times, the services and the apps we use, they use our data to make things better. An example would be like Google Maps, for example. How many of you use Google Maps? I've used it before, at least. I have traveled many different countries. Google Maps is my indispensable app. I cannot do without it, right? Many years ago, I went to Cambodia for the first time. I was supposed to go there for work, and I'd never been there before. I was supposed to land. I had to go to a university, deliver a talk, and then rush back to the airport to fly out, right? Never having been there before, I was hoping the moment I land, I need to get a data SIM card, put it in my phone, hope everything works, you know, fire up Google Maps, find out how to go to the university, right? And then I remember going there by cab, by taxi, but coming back, I asked people, how do I get back to the airport? No, I don't know how to use the apps in Cambodia. And one young person told me very kindly, you look like a foreigner, right? You carry a bag and everything. You just walk by the side of the street and somebody will come to pick you up. Right? So I remember walking and immediately, like I haven't walked a few steps, a motorbike comes beside me and asks me whether I want to go anywhere. And I said to the airport, right? So I just get on a bike and then he just rides off. In the meantime, I'm holding my Google map, hoping he's going in the right direction. No, but in the end, I made it safe and sound. So it was an experience for me. But the app helped me so much because I gave it the information of where I am at all times. So when we give information, the app becomes a lot more useful to us. Right? On Google Maps, you do things like, oh, show me where the ice cream places are around me. So the first thing you need to do is tell the map where you are, right? Or you want to find out where was the cinema I went to last year. And you want to check, like, no, you look into your map's timeline and you look back. So all the information that we do share with the apps provides some sort of service that improves with more information, right? But that said, I want you to know that you are in control of how your data is used. You always need to be very careful, like how, when you install an app, they ask you, do you want to give permission to use your microphone? Do you want to give permission to use your camera? Do you want to give permission to take your phone number? All these things you always check whenever you download an app, because the information, like I said, is yours. It is up to you whether you want to share it, right? Don't ever feel like you're forced to give it. Choose what to share and why. So we've made this quite easy on Android phones, right? If you go to Android phones, you look for app permissions. And what you do see is you have a list of these are the permissions. These are the apps you gave permission to. I encourage you to go in there maybe every month. Take a look at what permissions you've given the app, which apps you've given permission to. And if you want to take it back, you can always disable permissions to the different apps, right? We've also made this very easy by putting everything, all that Google knows about you on myaccount.google.com. It is how you manage your account, right? When you go there, you can see the transparency, the controls, everything is there. So if you're on Maps, you just click on your own avatar, and then you go to Manage My Account. That's one quick way to go to Google's My Account. For those of you who want to find out, right, when I use Google, and I use Google a lot, what does Google know about me? You go to myactivity.google.com. You'd be surprised how much data you give to Google and how much we use that to make services for you. But we want you to know. So we're not trying to hide from you what information we use. We want you to be able to see the information, choose which ones you want to share, and be in control of your data. And this is the same for any platform you use, whether you use social media, whether you use, I don't know, any internet app you use, right? Always look at the data you're sharing. Even when you go on Instagram, some photos you want to share with the world, some photos you only want to share with trusted people. Learn how to toggle those things. Learn how to set your accounts to private. Protect your privacy. It's not so much that I need to keep everything to myself or I need to give everything away. Sometimes there are many layers in between that you need to choose and learn how to choose. And then just now, Michael Rose mentioned there are the checkups. There's a security checkup within Google. There's also the privacy checkup under My Account, right? The privacy checkup basically runs you through some questions and asks you, what are you willing to share? What do you want to take back? Even what kind of ads you want to use. I know many people think that ads is one of those things where, maybe I shouldn't share anything because I don't like ads. I used to run a business and advertising was so important for me because I was selling my services of making websites. And I wanted people to know that I do a good job, right? So advertising is really useful for the business trying to find the customer. So it isn't always something that is annoying, something that we can remove. It is a very crucial part of business, especially as you grow up and you get into your own businesses. So as we think about privacy, and this is an ongoing thought process at Google, right? We're constantly thinking, how do we protect people's privacy more? So last year, we kind of announced that we were having an auto-delete for all Google accounts for the information that we store about you. And this is important because Google starting to be an old internet company, right? It used to be like the young internet company. Now Google is one of the oldest internet companies around. And we will realize that we can't keep information forever. So we wanted to give people an option. How long do you want us to keep your information? So actually, if you go to the My Account, you can choose. You can actually choose to set if you want it like 30 days, 60 days, 180 days. It's up to you the duration you want Google to keep your data. I'll go very, very, very quickly into how to protect yourself online. I know I don't have time to go through all of this, all right? But the one thing I want to tell you, and the most important part, is use different passwords, right? All of you know the password is the key to all your online accounts, right? It is everything that protects you. So I'll skip through this very quickly. Most of you already know what a strong password is, right? You know a strong password is something like this. You have a word, and then you start to put in letters, you start to make it longer, you start to put in symbols, and it starts to be very difficult to remember. So just now, my colleague Michael, he shared about use different passwords for different things. Because if you use the same password for everything, I just need to steal from one platform, and all your platforms are broken. Right? I know many of you have your cameras off, but I know you use the same password for most things, right? And some of you maybe go like, I have 3 passwords. Don't worry, I have 3. I have one short one for the simple things, one medium-sized one for maybe the social platform, and the long one for banking. Right? If I know this, the bad guys know this. So you need, and then the worst part is your 3 passwords, they're all the same. It's just the number longer. You just put a longer number behind it. Right? So don't be predictable, because if your passwords are predictable, the bad guys find it so easy to guess. So for example, if you're a certain age, I know that you created your passwords when you were a certain age. So for example, if let's say you're in your 20s now, you created your passwords when you were about 7 or 8. That's my guess. When you got your computer or your cell phone, you wanted to create your own password, right? I can also guess that at that time, maybe Pokemon was a very hot thing. So for many of you, your password is going to be a Pokemon name, your favorite one. I just need to choose the most popular ones. I probably have a good proportion of some of you. And then the number behind, usually it's your birthday. Some of you think that it's clever to flip your birthday backwards, right? And then for symbols, most people would use the @ sign or the exclamation point, because those are the ones I'm familiar with. Or the hash, that's the other one. Right? So with these things, it becomes very simple for people to steal your password. And if you use the same one for everything, I just need to crack one. The moment I break into one, I can go and guess the rest. I'll just go to every single social media platform and break everything and reset all your passwords and lock you out of all your accounts. So that's what the bad guys do. So you need different ones for different accounts, which means you have a ton of passwords, which also means you can't remember. So I'm going to give you one tip, I think, before I pass the time over to the next presenter. Now, I have a lot of things I wanted to tell you, but don't worry. I think this is the most important one. How do I remember all the passwords, right? For those of you who are willing to spend a bit of money, you can pay for a password manager app. Go for the reputable ones, right? For those of you who are little bit more stingy like I am, this is a quick one. So for example, if your password is, for those basketball players, you know what this is, right? So if your password is m.jordan23 greater than ljames, and that is true, this is your long password that you have memorized. This is the
Pardon
one.
me, you have 2 minutes left.
Okay, good. I will bear that in mind. Thank you. So if this is your long password that you remember, then you change it for every login you go to. For example, if you're logging into google.com, what you could do is steal some of the letters from the URL. So I'm taking the last 3 letters of the URL I'm logging into, and then I'm inserting it into different places of this long password. Do you know what I'm doing? I'm just taking letters off, the last 3 letters from what I'm going to log into. I'm putting it in different place of this long password. So if I'm going to amazon.com, I would take the ZON and I'll put it in the same place. What I will not do is I will never tell anybody, number one, what my long password is. But even if they guess, they won't know which letters I took from the URL and where I put it. This way, every single login into every single website is going to be different. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes? So this is a very simple tip, free of charge, right? Otherwise, like I said, you can always use a password manager. These are some of the reputable ones: 1Password, LastPass. You can use Google Smart Lock, which is the one when you use Chrome, they ask you, do you want to save your password? When you save your password, it goes into your Google account. To find out what you have saved, you just go to passwords.google.com, right? And then we'll show you all the passwords you've saved into that account over time. And so we encourage you to use different passwords, because if we are remembering it for you, you don't have to remember everything, right? So like I said, keep track of multiple passwords using Smart Lock or passwords.google.com. And then I'll end with this last tip. I know I have 30 seconds left. Many people go like, I will never write my password on a piece of paper, because you have been taught never to do that. But I also want to tell you, writing it in a notebook is not a bad idea, security-wise, right? A lot of you go like, but if somebody steals my notebook, right, then I'll be in trouble. I'll lose all my passwords, which is true. But at the same time, you need to remember this. Most people who break into accounts are not the people around you. If your friends are the ones stealing stuff from your bag, no, my advice was always to find better friends. You need to change your friends. It's not your password's a problem. If your friends are stealing things from your bag, logging to your account, you need to change your friends. If you write it in a notebook, same thing. Insert letters that you don't use, and you know which letters to take out. So you can encrypt your notebook. So the notebook idea isn't actually a bad idea. It's a pretty good idea, right? But the last tip I have, if you use a notebook, have 2 copies. Every time the same thing. So if you lose it, you don't lose all your account. So one you keep at home, you lock it up. One you bring around with you and you use it. So this is a very simple way of protecting your account. So I think I'll end here for today, but I'd love to spend more time talking to you about like basic online safety tips, which people always overlook. Everybody tells you it's very simple to keep safe, but no, it's not. It's very easy to steal stuff from you. I just need to send an email pretending to be somebody and you will cough up your password. So we see a lot of people doing this. So as young people, I mean, I'm going to urge you, learn how to keep your account safe, and then now teach your parents, teach your grandparents, teach your neighbors, because everybody is now online, right? Because of COVID, everybody's learned how to use the internet. Before this, I didn't think like my uncle and aunt who were slightly older would never learn, but now everybody's on the internet. So teach them also how to be safe. So with that, thank you very much. I mean, I really had a great time presenting this to you. So I'll pass back to Bia. Over to you.
Thank you so very much, Lucian. I really appreciated your anecdote at the very beginning of your presentation. I feel like it highlighted the generation gap that often accompanies our discussions on technology. And personally, I really enjoyed your tips at the very end regarding passwords. I feel like that's something I need myself. So I definitely took a lot of notes in that section. At this time, I would like to invite our second speaker to our virtual stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Ellen Kusuma, the head of Digital At-Risk Subdivision at SafeNet.
Hello, sorry, I just unmuted myself. Can anyone see me? I'm a little bit confused. I'm trying to present my PDF. So how is everyone doing? Everyone doing great? Okay. Forgive me, I just need to set up the PDF first. Okay. Sorry for taking up your precious time, but let me try to share my screen. Can you? Okay. Can you see my tab?
Not yet.
Yeah,
We can now.
Okay, wait. Oops. Okay. So I'm going to present something that is called my digital body. But before, maybe I would like to introduce myself. I am Ellen Kusuma, head of Digital At-Risk Subdivision from SafeNet, Southeast Asia Freedom of Expression Network. We are an organization coming from Indonesia, based in Indonesia, but we are advocating for the digital rights as human rights in Southeast Asia region. So I would like you guys to know about a digital body. All of us have a digital body, but what is digital body? Let me explain more. So a person's body, we know it has biological functions. We know that it has been socially constructed and defined. We have genders, right? I don't know, but maybe you guys already know that some people associated the blue color for men, and then the pink color for women. That's the part of the socially constructed and trying to define someone's body. We call it gender, right? And then person's body, it has a name, it has identification, it has characteristics. Like I have brown eyes, maybe some other people have blue eyes. Currently I have black hair, but before I have a pink hair actually. So we need to understand that our body changes through time and spaces, right? What I have before, my body's characteristics before maybe doesn't define my body's characteristics right now. For example, the hair that I told you about, my previous hair is pink, but now people will see me as a person that has black hair color. And then a person's body also has preferences, right? And we could express things through our body. But woman's body, or other people that actually have been seconded as a person in society, you know, the non-binary people, or maybe for people who lives in a place that have a caste system. So there will be some person that is more in a privileged position than the others, right? So woman's body and other people who have been seconded as a person in society is actually more vulnerable, surveilled, controlled, violated, and so on. And when the body is represented digitally through selfie, video, data, and every digital devices and accounts that we produce, register, install, uploads, clicks, or every agree that we clicks without reading the terms and conditions and so on. You guys probably already familiar with this stuff. We actually surrender a part of our body in the digital world, in which some people or institution or company or a state could access or have an access to a little bit more easily, just like Lucian has presented, right? So that means our body is more, our digital body, especially our digital body, is more susceptible to more harm and risk because of this, because we surrender it to, I don't know. Right now, I understand that I have my accounts, I have my Google account. So I surrender part of my digital body to Google because I trust them. But maybe some other applications, some other digital platforms, some other technologies doesn't really give you information on how they are using our bodies, right? Like Lucian has presented. And the online harm and risk don't stay online. As connected as our life now with digital technology, especially through internet and social media, every harm and risk could spill over to our real life. So we could be facing bullying in social media, right? But it could actually spill over to our real life. The people could actually dox us or try to dox us, means like they are trying to find our privacy, our data, our personal data, and then they spread it around so they can do more harm to us, even in our real life. Even if we are disconnected, the harm stays. So we need to understand that every digital footprint that we have, it actually have an everlasting quality, whether the footprint is by your consent, is by our consent, or not. Just like Lucian says, right? When we write something about our child, then the child actually has not consented to that part, because a child really cannot consent. But that also means that we didn't give them the chance to consent to the situation that we are making for them, for the child, right? And so many of us actually live in a place that probably doesn't really exercise consent, especially women rights. Everything that we are doing, is anyone here is from Asian countries? If yes, then probably many of us have been surrendering our privacy because our parents is too nosy, or maybe because we live in a communal or collective society. So we do really have a little privacy, right? We need to surrender some of our privacy because of the social and cultures in the location that we live in. So this is a problem, because consent is very important if you want to protect your data. What does it entails? If something is happening without your consent, something that happened to a person without that person's consent, might or might not bring a harm, because is it done with malicious intent, the people who violated the consent or who doesn't ask for consent, or is it because the lack of knowledge, because I don't understand about consent at all, that's why I don't ask for others people consent first when I'm doing something to that person, or perhaps because I know about consent but I don't care about your consent, I want to do it as I please, right? So if we have encountered this kind of situation, how to behave safely then? I would like for you guys to understand about 4 concepts. Privacy. We need to understand about privacy, especially a digital privacy. What is personal data? What is PII? Personally identifiable information. Personally identifiable information could include your IP address, could include your selfie, could include your email accounts, could include any data that actually can be traced back to you. Then it's your personally identifiable information, such as when people see me as a person with a pink hat, the unique characteristic of me, then it could be one of the personally identifiable information that people collect and then try to profile someone and then find it out that it is me, and then can find out what other else data that they have of me, or that is already spread around in the public or in the internet as it is, right? Like people can, now you guys know my name, right? Alan Kusuma. If you Google me, you can find many things about me. So that is part of the personally identifiable information, names, IP address, and so on. And then we need to understand about privacy, that we also need to balance our level of comfortable and safe, because when we are being comfortable, usually we are not behaving safely because we are doing something in routines, and routines is predictable, and something predictable can be used against us. So we need to balance to behave safely, and also put our comfort zone a little bit not that comfortable, if you can understand what I'm trying to say. And then we need to understand about consent, and consent in the digital space. What does it mean? We need to understand the Fry's principles of consent. What is Fry's principle? It is freely given. Consent is freely given by that person, and then it could be reversible. So it means that I need to be able to take back or to revoke the consent that I already gave out. And then I need to be informed. The I is informed, right? I need to be informed. What are you going to use my data for? And then the E, enthusiastic. I need to give consent in an enthusiastic manner, as in there is no intimidation when I'm surrendering my data, or when I'm giving out my data or PII. And then I am fully conscious, meaning that I am not sedated, or I'm not drunk, or I'm not like too sick to be able to think clearly. And then the last principle is as specific. If say I use Google account, and then the Google account says that they are going to use my data only for A, B, and C, then it is only for A, B, and C. If they are going to change it to add D, then they need to ask for consent. So specific. And then we need to also understand about digital ecosystem, how data flows and being used. What is the public sphere in the internet? What is the roles of digital platforms about the user privacy? What is the roles of ISP or internet service providers? How does government regulate the digital ecosystem in our country? How algorithm works and so on. This is actually going to help us have a safer behavior. And then the last one, we need to understand also the digital characteristic, right? That a data is easily multiplied. When you think about a hoax that can go so viral, think about that hoax as your data, as your digital body that can also be easily multiplied and then goes viral everywhere. And then because it goes viral, can be easily multiplied, it also means it is difficult to observe. So that means if something harmful is happen to our digital bodies, we are going to have little control to mitigate the situation because we don't know how far our data goes through the internet. And that actually leads to our perpetual footprint. And that is what makes everything dangerous if we are not behaving safely. So the very basic, I want you guys to at least do this regularly. Check and delete previous digital footprint if it is irrelevant. Because say, I'm using internet since I am in the middle school. And now I am actually so very old, right? I have at least around 15.
Pardon, Ellen, you have about 2 minutes left.
Yeah, okay. 15 years of footprint, right? And that 15 years of footprint could actually harm me, probably, because there is something that I love to share before, but now I don't think that it is safe for me to share that kind of information. So yeah, do this regularly, check and delete previous digital footprints if it is irrelevant. Adjust the security and privacy setting of every digital account that you have, social media, email accounts, and so on. Activate it to factors authentication because nowadays strong password is not enough. And then also change the password, the strong and unique for every account. And then the last one, I want you guys to understand about the principles that please don't think of ourselves as nobody in the internet, so I am safer. Actually, you wouldn't know someone is surveilling you or not if something has not happened, right? You only think that, oh my God, someone has actually stalked my account because they try to interact with you. But if they don't interact with you, then you wouldn't be knowing that someone is actually stalking you. So never think that ourselves is nobody and nobody will do harmful thing for us. Think the reverse way, okay? And then we always have a choice to use or not use the digital tech. There is always a safer alternative. And always exercise or be mindful and respect consent of others regarding their digital body. So I think that was the basic that I want you guys to know first to behave a little bit more safer in the internet or using the digital technology. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ellen. I really enjoyed your presentation. And I thought your ideas on digital bodies were incredibly intriguing, especially given how you use that extended metaphor to really highlight your various points. And I really appreciated how you highlighted that there was a difference between malicious intent and lack of knowledge and ignorance. I thought that was a really important distinction to make. But moving forward, we will now dive into our discussion segment with our speakers. I would like to remind everyone to please place your questions in the question and answer box where I will be monitoring for any questions. But I would actually like to start off with the question, how is the best way to educate society about data consent? And this goes to both of our speakers.
I'll jump in and try. I think the difficult part is we've grown up always willing to give it up for convenience, I think. But you can see society kind of change a little bit, right? So now we're a little bit more conscious about what we share, about why we're sharing certain things. So I think as the applications and large platforms like Google, as we start to make the choices more explicit, we try to explain it a lot better. Like, this is what you're sharing, this is how we're using it. So like Ellen mentioned, if we use it for ABC, we only use it for ABC, but you need to know what ABC is. And in a sense, we are trying to make communications a lot better, right? We put short videos to show how we use the data rather than have you read through 300 pages of user terms and conditions. So I think these are ways in which I think platforms like Google and the rest, we're trying to make things a lot more friendly for people to understand.
Thank you, Lucian. Ellen, do you want to contribute as well?
Yeah, I think the most important way to exercise digital consent is by doing it ourselves. I think we often forget to ask permission when we are posting photos of our friends, or maybe our family, or maybe the little baby that we have, or the niece or nephew that we have, right? So yeah, start small, start making it a habit. I think that could contribute to a better digital behavior in the society.
Thank you very much for your response. We actually received another question in our question and answer box from Patrick. What is your advice to senior citizens when it comes to data privacy? And I think that also ties in a lot to the generational gaps we were touching on earlier. I think there is a lot of difference with how we talk about technology when it comes to the different generations.
I mean, I asked Patrick what the main differences are when it comes to privacy he feels that senior citizens take that is different from us. Like, what are the main differences at the top of our minds? Patrick, you here? If you can unmute yourself and just ask, I think it'd be easier.
I just want to say, sir, hello, Sir Lucian.
Yes.
I just want to say, sir, because senior citizens have no patience in terms of setting our data privacy. Also, they have also short password. What is your advice to them that they need to be patient in terms of setting their data privacy, or their password should be that? What is your advice?
Okay. Now you brought up some memories I've had, right? Oh, this is going to be tough because this is recorded. so in my own family, sometimes you have the older generation that likes to share photos of my kids. So like Ellen said, right? They just go like, well, but this is my grandchild, or this is my grandniece, and of course I deserve the right to post to all my friends. And sometimes they don't know how to set just to friends, they post public.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes you need to tell them that for the safety of the child or the safety of the other person, you just change the settings. No, occasionally it doesn't mean anything to them, because to them, I'm just sharing my friends. And you can tell them, if you want to share with just your friends, let me help you change the setting. Right? And just help them change it for them. I mean, that's how it's worked for me, because sometimes explaining that putting it on the internet means everybody can see it is a little bit huge of a idea, to understand.
Yes. So it means, sirs, that the younger generation have a big part in terms of educating our senior citizens, our oldies.
We do. We have this huge responsibility to teach them. One thing I found which was useful, because I teach senior citizens, is that they always look at us and they don't like young people telling them what to do. I don't know if it's the same in your family, but my family is the old people will be like, please, I know more than you. I don't care if it's technology, right? But I'm older, so I know better. So one thing I've learned, if you can find one elderly person who's willing to listen to you, teach that elderly person to teach his same age group. They will listen to their same age, no problem. They won't listen to the younger one.
Yeah. Thank you for that, sir. Thank you for that, sir. I am Patrick Villas from the Philippines, sending love to you, sir. Sending
Thank you so
hugs
much.
and kisses. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Ma'am Bea.
Salamat.
Thank you so much, Patrick. I would also like to open it up to Ellen. Miss Ellen, would you like to add on to that?
Yeah, I think it's important for us to build communication and build trust with the elderly or the senior citizen. So maybe from my part, I always fight with my mom about hoaxes. Actually, not really about privacy, but about hoaxes. But then I learned that the most important thing is we need to make it like we are a trusted person for her or for the senior citizen to ask whenever they find something interesting in the internet, because the something interesting that they find in the internet usually can lead to some privacy violation or hoaxes, viraling hoaxes. So yeah, build communication and become the trusted person of the senior citizen. That's it.
Thank you very much. We have another question from a John Paul Estal, and it's talking about how on Facebook we have the only me option. We also have incognito mode, and this question is asking, how safe are those options really? How private are those settings?
So I can't speak to Facebook because I don't work there, but I can speak to incognito mode, at least on Chrome, and what it does. Right? Basically, it's a mode that you set on your browser, incognito mode, that won't store cookies, that treats every session as a fresh session. And once you turn it off, it deletes all traces of on your computer. Right? But what you need to understand is while you are surfing, the server takes it as a session, right? Tracks down like what you do in that session, and that is not deleted like on the website that you go to. But later on when you go back, there's no cookie tracing you to that session. I'm not sure if I make total sense. Basically, it makes it harder to track what you did while in incognito mode, but it is not, for example, if your telco, your ISP, your internet service provider, right, would be able to know that your connection accessed this and this and this and this. So there are some places the whole chain isn't secure. It's only secure on your computer, and then the identification because through cookies on the server. So that's kind of it for incognito mode. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Lucian. Ms. Ellen, would you like to add on as well?
Yeah, actually, I would like to address about the only me option in Facebook because I use it, right? But then I understand I also have the risk of if my Facebook account is being hacked by someone else, they could easily get the data even if I set it as only me, right? Because they now have my account, they have an access to my account. So we always need to think about that every situation is actually has a risk. What we can do is only minimalizing the risk, right? So if you think that the only me option is better because you are better at securing your account, then good for you. But if you cannot really secure your account through best practice such as using strong password, activating your 2FA, and so on, and you have the risk of your account being hacked by someone else because maybe you work as activist, I don't know, then you might not use the only me. You want to use other option that make it more secure for you. And then about the incognito mode of browse as a barometer in securing data, like Lucian said, we need to understand the flow of data, actually, if we want to talk about securing the data. Because when we are sending a data, there is a lot of party in the system to get our data from A to B, right? So yeah, just learn more about the flow of data, I guess.
Thank you very much. Another question I would like to ask as well is how can we recognize regarding privacy data? The fact is that different companies or different applications might need different sorts of information from us, different data. And what would happen if we were to sort of close off that data? How could companies work with the limited data? Is it possible for them to keep providing the same services? And what is the wisest way for us as users to maintain our privacy while still getting the same level of convenience from these applications that we use?
So I think this question is quite similar to the one Geeta sent above. But I need social media, but I'm afraid my data is not secure. What do I do? So it's similar questions. So I'm going to answer them together, right? So the one thing is, the less data you give, of course, the convenience, well, what the services can give you would be less. An example would be this. I had somebody in one of my workshops come up to me and said that, I don't want to tell Google where I am, but is it possible for Google Maps to kind of tell me how to go from point A to point B? Right? And I went like, it's not possible, because if you don't tell us where you are, or allow us the location data, we can't put the pin on the map, like this is where you are. And then if you need to go to the other point, we can tell you how to get there, right? What we can give you, if you don't tell us location data, we'll just give you a map. Like it's a blank map. You have to kind of scroll to where you are, and then you zoom in, and then you got to plot the line yourself. So it's still usable, but it's not that convenient. So like I said, the more information, in a sense, you provide, the more personalized the service can be for you. I'm not saying that you have to give everything. I'm saying at some point you need to make for yourself what you're comfortable with, what trade-offs you want, how much convenience it gives you for how much data it gets. And this is important because you have a lot of apps that want to get a lot of data for you to play like a simple game. And then sometimes I'm wondering, like, if it's just a game, why do you need to have all my contacts? You need to know who I'm friends with. You don't need that. So I'm going to try to disable those things and see if I can still play the game. If I can't, so for example, like Geeta said, I can't live without social media. At some point, you make the trade-off, right? If you're taking too much data from me, but I realize I can't live without you, I need to decide one thing has got to go. So sometimes you just got to break, and then you just go like, no, I'm keeping the data because it's too important and too personal for myself. So I will look for an alternative. So like Ellen said, there are alternative platforms which may not take so much data and still give you an acceptable level of service.
Thank you very much. Miss Ellen?
Yeah, I think the most important things about this is when the users have the choice to opt out. That is important, and the choice to delete if the data is not irrelevant anymore. So if you find some, I do actually find some application where I cannot really delete my account. I can only deactivate it, but deactivating doesn't mean they delete your account. They may still have your data for whenever you are going to activate the account, right? So it is really important to choose the application that we are going to use and not going to use. And also, just like I said, it is important for us to balance our level of comfort zone and then our level of safety, because it differs when the time changes, when the situation changes, the context changes, our safety, our security, it is going to change. So we need to do like basic security checkup regularly. Yeah, make it a habit, guys.
Thank you very much to both of our speakers. I do believe, Mr. Lucian, that you might have to leave us now.
I can give you a little bit more time, no worries.
You can?
Yes.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you. We have a question regarding what is cookies and is it safe to enable cookies? For example, when websites ask us for permission, should we allow it? How do we recognize when it's all right to do so?
So a cookie is basically a little small snippet of code that the server sends to your computer, and it's stored on your computer, so it's able to identify that you are this person. So an example would be, let's say you log into a social media platform. The next time you log out, and when you come back to the site, it still recognizes that you're there. So for example, let me see, you log into the platform and then you close your browser, right? The next time you open your browser again and go on the same platform, you're still logged in because it identifies the cookie that it is you. It authenticates that it is you based on this little piece of code that says who you are. So most of the time, it is okay to accept the cookie. I think there have been practices, this is like the evolution of internet, right? Where you have like third-party cookies. That means some people place cookies on your computer and they track you even when you go to other sites. So what Google is actually doing is we're trying to make third-party cookies a thing of the past. We want only first-party cookies. That means if you come to Google, we identify that, oh, you are this person at Google. We don't want to care whether you go to other sites or not. So we're trying very hard to make first-party cookies like the main way of authentication of identity. Yeah. Sorry if it's too technical. It gets a little bit tricky.
No, thank you very much for that information. Miss Ellen, would you like to add on as well?
Yeah, I think about the cookies is you can think it like, okay, I put my cookie here, so they would know that it is me. So it's kind of like just signify that. So I kind of identification, just like Lucian say. So I don't have anything to add.
Thank you very much. We have another question. We have a few minutes left. I'm hoping we can squeeze in a few more questions. There is one asking about social media algorithms. So how are the algorithms in social media formed? So how do different posts suddenly show up on our social media? And is it safe for these recommendations to be showing up when we don't really ask for them?
So how the algorithms are formed. I think, I mean, I did mention if you go to myactivity.google.com, you're able to see what Google captures about what you've shared with it. Okay, initial reactions most people have is like, wow, that's a lot of information, and it is. But we want you to know what information we capture. But in the same ways, social media platforms have a lot of information about you because of what you share. So like what you post, where you go, where you're posting from, the time you go out. So you need to remember it's not just the text you post, but everything else around it. Who you were with, who tagged you, who you tagged, right? I mean, if I took all these things down on a notebook, I'm able to kind of almost create a persona of, well, this person seems to go out on Wednesdays and Friday evenings. So those are the free times they have, and they like to eat this, you know, like 30% of the time. They go for Japanese food, and then after that, you know, they go to yoga on Saturdays. I mean, we share a lot of information with a lot of platforms, and we need to know what we are sharing. So whether it's safe or not depends on whether you feel comfortable sharing this information, right? And whether you feel comfortable sharing this information with a platform. So like who it is. So these are the things I would encourage you to think very carefully about before you click yes on sharing all the stuff that you want to share.
Thank you very much. Miss Ellen, I would like to hand it over to you.
I agree with Mr. Lucian that we need to think about every little actions that we take. It is actually being logged. It's being noted by the whole application, the whole digital platforms. So just be wise about whenever we are sharing something, whenever we are doing something, we are actually being surveilled. We are actually being profiled by that system because they want to know more about us, so they can offer more more preferable services for us. But this is coming from the mindset of marketing, right? But we are a person, not only an object of a market. So we need to be able to like act wisely. I think that's the takeaway that I want you guys to have.
Thank you very much to both of our speakers. Sadly, we've reached our 20 minutes. And so thank you again to both of our speakers. And I greatly appreciated all of your contributions. And I'm sure I speak on behalf of all of the participants of our webinar. It is now time for us to close the session. And I would like to provide each of you the opportunity to give a brief closing statement. Mr. Lucian, the floor is yours.
Sure. Just very quickly, it was very good to see all of you, even briefly. I always say this every time I come here, that when you turn on your cameras, even for the photo taking, to see all of you in all the different countries in ASEAN and being represented here, it really encourages me a lot, right? Because you're the next generation and you're willing to learn and you're willing to share. And you guys have shared that you're willing to teach, even the older generation. So we rely on you to be kind of help us chart what the next generation's use of technology is like. How do we use it responsibly? How do we use it for good, right? So don't just feel that this is just for you. It's also for your community. So be that champion that we need. Yeah, that's all I have.
For me, I would like to ask you guys that if we are in person, not willing to have our body being touched this way, being touched that way, being violated by some person or many other people and so on, why are we somehow letting our digital bodies being violated without even us being aware of it? So just be careful that you have a digital body. So make it secure. I don't know. Make it safe. Make it secure. So treat your digital body better.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ellen and Mr. Lucian. I will now hand over the proceedings back to my colleague, Alda.
Thank you to all the speakers for the insightful discussion. And thank you, Ms. Bea, for moderating the session. Now, let's take a quiz to see how much you have learned today. And please don't feel stressed. It is a casual and fun quiz. You can only use your laptop or your computer to join this quiz. As you can see, on the upper right corner of your screen, you will see 3 signs: a people sign, a text sign, and a geometry sign. Please click on the geometry sign. As you do so, you will see breakout rooms, polls, and Q&A. Please click on polls. I will give you some time to do so. Once again, everyone can join this quiz using your laptop or your computer by clicking on the right upper corner of your screen. You will see 3 signs: a people sign, a text sign, and a geometry sign. Please click on the geometry sign and then click on polls. Okay, is everyone ready? Let the games begin. Number 1, which one is the correct motto of ASEAN? Is it one vision, one community, one identity, or one community, one vision, one identity, or one vision, one identity, one community, or one identity, one vision, one community? You will have 30 seconds to answer each question. Okay, I can see that everyone is correct. Everyone, there are 36 votes on the one vision, one identity, and one community. Well done. Now let's move on to the second question. The second question: What does the yellow color on the ASEAN emblem symbolize? Is it purity, courage, prosperity, or stability? You have 30 seconds to answer the question. Okay, well done. Most of you guys answered this correctly. So the yellow color on the ASEAN emblem symbolizes prosperity. Now on to the third question. Where is the location of ASEAN Secretariat? Is it in Hanoi, Jakarta, Kuala Lumpur, or Bangkok? You have 30 seconds to answer your question. Okay, well, most of you answered this correctly. The location of ASEAN Secretariat is in Jakarta. Well done, guys. Now on to the fourth question. What country in Southeast Asia is not joining ASEAN? Is it Brunei Darussalam, Laos, Timor-Leste, or India? This is tricky. Time is ticking, guys. I hope you get this one correctly. Well, okay, most of you guys answered this with India. Well done. It is the correct answer. Now, let's move to the fifth question. How many pillars are there in the ASEAN community? Is there 2, 3, 4, or 5? This quiz, I think, is meant to test your ability about ASEAN. I hope you get this one right. Is it 2 or 3 or 4 or 5? Well done, guys. You guys answered this correctly. There are 3 pillars in the ASEAN community. And most of you guys answered this correctly. Now on to the sixth question. How many countries belong to ASEAN today? 9, 10, 11, or 14? How many ASEAN member states today? Is there 9, 10, 12, or 14? I hope you get this one right. Most of you guys answered this with 10, and that is the correct answer. Well done. There are 10 ASEAN member states currently right now. Now, on to the next question. Which country is the last to join as ASEAN member states countries? Is it Indonesia, Brunei Darussalam, Cambodia, or Laos? This is quite tricky, but I hope you will be able to answer this one correctly. Which country is the last to join as ASEAN member states countries? Is it Indonesia, Brunei Darussalam? Oh, okay, most of you guys answered this correctly. Is Cambodia as the country who last to be joined ASEAN member states countries? Well done. Now on to the 8th question. What is personal data? Is it any information relating to an identifiable person, historical information published about a monument, information or data that is stored in vault, or any information of an employee? If you have been listening correctly in the earlier discussion, I think you'll be able to answer this one. Most of you answered this with any information relating to an identifiable person. And that is correct. Well done. Now on to the 9th question. What is the example of personal data? Is it name and a surname, a home address, an identification card number, or all of the above? Most of you guys answered this with all of the above, and that is correct. Well done. Now on to the last question. How can we protect our personal data? 1, avoid phishing emails, use stronger emails, or use different password, or all of the above. This mentioned earlier in our discussion, so I think you'll be able to find this one. Okay, most of you guys answered this correctly. So the correct answer is all of the above. Well done. Now we can back to the Google Meet. That is the end to our poll quiz. Thank you so much for participating, and I hope you had fun revising what you've learned. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of today's webinar. Please allow us to send our deepest appreciation to everyone for giving us your attention. An A certificate will be provided to participants who completed the survey. So please check the link that we shared on the chat box and kindly fill out the survey question in order to obtain your A certificate. The A certificate will be sent to you through email. We would like to express our sincerest gratitude for the enormous support we received from our partners for making this webinar a success. Finally, we would like to thank our attendees via Google Meet and Facebook for your engagement in this webinar. If you want to watch this webinar again, it's available on our Facebook page. It is unfortunate that we have to part ways now. Please keep in mind that the 4th and the last of online safety webinar series will be taking place next month. So I really hope you can join this again. Until then, please stay safe and have a great day. Thank you and goodbye.